Hello, my name is Ryan and this is my wife Nancy,
Hello.
and we want to welcome you to the Save Tavern, a new podcast series that we're starting up that is a place for travelers and adventurers to rest their heads. We wanted this to kind of feel like you're sitting around in a party chat with friends, just hanging out, maybe someone has news to tell you, or everyone's just talking about their favorite games or favorite moments or experiences and stories. For those of you that are just listening to the audio for this, there may be times that something seems like a little bit confusing or seems a little bit off. That's because we have a video version of this also, where we're using our in-game characters sitting in our tavern studio on Final Fantasy 14, talking where while we have a little pet boar running around our studio, which is Nancy's minion.
Ye
And so, if anything, if something sounds like it's us laughing at something that's happening in the game, it's because it's on the video side. Please check it out if you can. The links will be explained later on to be able to get to that. And for those of you who are watching the video for this, thank you, welcome, and enjoy the piggy. So this is going to be the first episode, so it may be a little bit shorter because it's kind of like a test, a trial. We're going to be kind of like doing a pilot episode for it. And once we get into the groove of things will get a little bit better as we find out how we want to structure this. So for this one, we want to discuss different news in gaming, personal stories and experiences we've had, upcoming games that we're excited for, like really excited for, and anything that's gaming that we may have to talk about. So for a little bit of background info for me, I've been playing games for all my life. It's been since like the NES days when it first came out. So I've loved doing that. I've loved playing online games. I love helping people. It's gotten to the point where I've sought out just helping people in certain games and everything, just to kind of just to go with it, help people out. Everybody's been new at some point. So a little bit of background on my gaming background for games, which the ones that I've been playing the most and my most favorite ones are Monster Hunter. Any of the versions of it. I really loved Monster Hunter World, and I really loved the first one on the PS2. Nancy and I have been playing Ark Survival Evolved for... I've got 1,500 hours in it. You've got what, like 600 or 700 now?
Yes.
Something like that. Final Fantasy 14, of course, because we are here in it. So...
Already racked up a good amount of hours in this one.
Oh, absolutely. And always a love for Pokemon. You can never not love Pokemon, depending on whatever gen you start in, whichever gen is your favorite. You're still a Pokemon fan. And then World of Warcraft, because MMO games have always been a structure to my life. It's definitely helped me just kind of get through monotonous times. Okay, so then that's mine, and then Nancy, do you want to go through yours?
Sure. So, a little bit of background on me with gaming. I grew up mostly the first, I don't know, like 7, 8 years, no, 9 years of my life, basically playing at, when I was little, we couldn't like afford video games that were out at the time, but we would go to this little restaurant where they had arcade machines, and they had Street Fighter, and they had Mortal Kombat, and I would play the heck out of those. Like, my parents would be like, grown up time, here's some quarters, and I was like, this is the best day ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's how I first got into gaming. I would just go play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and then when we would go to the little corner store down the street, my dad would play Pac-Man, and he was from Mexico, and he would say that when he was in Mexico, he was a Pac-Man champion. So that got me into Pac-Man like crazy. And then as I got older, my first console was the Sega Genesis, because my cousin gave it to us when we went to go visit one time. And that my first like console game was Clay Fighter.
Clay Fighter was always... It was fun. Like, it wasn't a fantastic game or anything like that, but it was definitely fun to play. I enjoyed that one a lot, and I still would love to play with you on that. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, we haven't, but I would love that too. It was Clay Fighter and then Sonic, and my mom even played Sonic with us. She hates video games. So those were like basically what got me into gaming and how I got into gaming. But like my favorite games right now would be almost everything Pokemon. We have Snap. We've been playing Unite so much recently. Like it's ridiculous how much we've played it.
Oh yeah, it's
I,
and there
I
for a
think I
little
spent
while
like a
we
whole
actually
day.
and there for a little while we actually stopped playing it for a good while and then
Yeah.
got back to it just randomly.
Well, because at first I didn't really get it, like, because I'm very new to games like that, and I didn't think I liked it at first, but once I got the hang of it, it turns out I really, really love it a lot, and I spent, like, the whole day in bed one day when I was, like, having this huge depressive episode. Video games always help when you have depression, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
definitely.
yeah, so, like, I just stayed in bed playing it, and I was like, oh god, this game is the best thing that's happened in a while. It just checked everything off the list for me, and especially now that Blastoise is out.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just, it's so amazing. But like, I like games like Pokemon, Stardew Valley, Ark, like Ryan mentioned, Phasmaphobia, and
That
Knockout City.
I wish I would. I forgot about that one actually. I wish that I wouldn't have limited myself to 5 for this, just because I didn't know how long it was going to take to get through it all. But we'll definitely be adding more. We'll be talking about a bunch of different things. You'll learn a lot about like which games
We like really
are
love and that we spend a lot of time on.
our our conversations are going to go so deep in the way that we'll be able to discuss all of our favorite games at some point in time. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and this isn't going to be like a normal gaming podcast either. If you did notice, I did mention depression earlier. We are very open to having a community that is safe, inclusive, and for all gamers of any walks of life because of the experiences that we both have been through. Me as a, Latina uh, gamer that is a girl and didn't really have access to games very easily growing up. So like I don't have certain experiences like Ryan might have had.
Yeah, and that's what I. This is an offshoot of something else that we had done that we'll get to when we're done here, but it's going off from what Nancy had just said because I definitely would like to is that we want to build a community for everyone. Anyone can join in and have a conversation. Tell your own experiences, tell your own stories. We want to hear those things, and we want to add everyone, as many people as we can, into having these big, open, nice, great conversations, because the community of gamers in general, when it comes to it, like, a lot of them get a bad rap for different things, but for the most part, there is a lot of good when it comes to, these types of communities, and we want to try and start up our own as well, because we want to make sure it stays that way too.
Yeah, because we've both been on the internet for a good little bit, and we see the toxicity and like the bad rep that gamers can get for gaming. I remember like being kind of nervous to tell people I played games because I didn't know how they were gonna react. They were either gonna tell me that I was a girl and shouldn't be playing, or they were gonna like look at me like I was some kind of nerd, which I was actually called before for just carrying a DS with me on my lunch break at work. And I've been afraid for people to just look at me like I'm gonna be some kind of toxic, mean person or elitist person because I play games.
Yeah, I can't believe people that do that.
Yeah, and it's really silly, and I think right now is a really good time to start something like this because I've seen a lot of things recently where toxicity has ramped up even more than it has in the past.
Oh yes.
And it's just really silly, and the fact that people have thanked us like crazy when we've been just nice to them when we were playing games with them in like Final Fantasy in like a party or something or a dungeon run is kind of makes me sad sometimes.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do. So if you ever see us, walking around as Esterloon, because that's usually my name everywhere. I try to pick it up everywhere.
Yes, exactly. And the same with mine for the most part. That with my character name in Final Fantasy was actually different because it didn't go for the character itself. But yeah, for mine it's mostly Metriel in a lot of things, but in Final Fantasy it's Rin.
Yeah, and we based basically everything off of our gamer tags. We do know like the dangers that could come with that, but we want to show you guys that if you see us and you need help, we're here for you. We want to be a safe place for anybody who might need it, especially in games, because I remember when I first started playing, games, competitive games, and people would just say the worst things to me. I would literally just sit here and cry, and like Ryan had to just hold me for like an hour.
And Overwatch and League of Legends communities were looking at you.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
No, but it takes something where like you have to at least shine a light on some of these
yeah.
bad communities. It's like for anything to start to get better.
Yeah, that's true. And we're not perfect, and we don't want to seem like, oh, we're gonna be the best people. Like, we have accidents. Sometimes we get frustrated, and we just hope that you understand that it's not us saying it's bad to get frustrated. It's just something that we want to limit, especially when treating others a certain way, because
Exactly.
you never know who's new. You never know who's having just like a really bad day. Some days I would get on Overwatch to play it because I was having such a bad depressive episode. I couldn't sit with my own thoughts. And the last thing I needed was someone to call me a bad word or to say that I sucked and I was the worst and needed to just leave.
No, exactly.
So that's also something just to put out there, since, people are listening. And I know there's going to be some people being like, oh, white knights, and leaving the podcast. You know what? That's fine. You are not our target audience.
No, but we're if you ever see us out and about in the games and you just see us, just give us a wave, give us a message, just say hello.
Yeah, we're here for you. And we've been adding people to our free company here in Final Fantasy as well because of that.
Yep, and that'll be something I definitely want to get into that as well.
Yep.
All right, so is there anything else with your introduction to your background in gaming on?
Nope. That's
All right.
pretty much it. I could go on for hours about me and gaming and the way I've started off and my favorite games and my first games and my this and that, but I
Oh,
don't want to
absolutely.
take up all day because we have a podcast and we have lots of episodes we can do.
Yes. Okay, so I guess we can start moving into what sort of thing we are excited for right now when it comes to gaming, which, well, there's a couple of really good things that's going on right now. Phasmaphobia, because you said that a little bit ago is one of your favorite games, so
Yeah.
definitely I think we should talk about this one first. And it's gonna be Phasma just had an update between a couple days and a week ago. They revamped a lot of stuff. They've revamped almost everything. I know that I've mentioned a little bit to you on it, but I don't want to go too much into depth with it because I don't want to spoil it. Like if anybody has not played the Phasma update, but you play Phasmophobia a lot and you really enjoy it, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to make it so it's going to lose its luster for you. Don't worry. I got you. It's okay.
But for those of you who don't know what Phasmophobia is, we should give a little bit of
Yes.
background.
Thank you. See,
Yep,
this
no problem.
she keeps me on track, so I don't just ramble on about things.
It's just because I have my own podcast and I know how to do certain things.
Right. And so with Phasmophobia is the Ghost Hunter game. There's two of them right now that's out there. One of them had an update not too long ago that kind of made the game. From what people have said, they made it a lot easier to play, so a lot of people don't really like it as much anymore because it was being heralded as like, oh, this is better than the other one, and then it got nerfed into the ground to the point where a lot of people are just not caring enough to play it anymore.
Yeah, but it's basically a game about ghost hunting. That's
Yeah, basically, you can find different evidence types, lots of scary, spooky things. Imagine if you're playing a scary game with 3 other friends or 3 random people. Sometimes those get good as well. And yeah, you're going in with different types of ghost hunting equipment and trying to find the ghost. Nancy, you have a little bit of a personal thing with Phasmo. Do you want to?
yeah.
It's okay. So story time, Nancy, go for it.
Okay. All right. So basically, a little bit more into detail of what Phasmo does when you are just ghost hunting. There are different ways to ghost hunt. You can have a variety of weapons, or not weapons, but like tools, I guess.
Yeah, you can think of them. I think of it that way.
Yeah, and you have stuff like salt, and you have stuff like Ouija boards. Here goes into the story part of this.
Yep.
And when you find a Ouija board, you actually use the Ouija board to communicate with the ghost, and you use your actual voice. You speak into your microphone. And oh, I'm getting chills. I might want to ask to turn off the air conditioner a little bit.
Okay.
Shaky. And when Ryan mentioned this game to me for the first time ever, I told him, I'm not going to play this game with you. I'm sorry. I don't feel comfortable playing a game where I would have to speak into a Ouija board or where you would have to do that, because calling upon something's name has never gone well for my family because we grew up in a haunted house. And so, in my mind, I'm already afraid of the thought of just calling into the nether of anything and being like, ghost, come here. And it's like, the ghost in real life won't know where you're talking to a game, Ryan, and you're using a Ouija board. And I already have bad experiences in my family about these things. I am very afraid. I don't want to call ghosts to us because we just got out of a haunted house.
Right, yeah. And that's fair.
Yeah, and if you guys want to know more about stuff like that, if you're interested, we have a horror podcast called Below the Forest Floor where we talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is it's definitely interesting. And so I was just against it all completely. I was not okay. And then I watched Ryan play it, and the first time I heard him talking and asking the ghost questions and telling it to come out, I almost had a panic attack. I was like, no, Ryan, no, a real ghost is gonna hear you. Stop.
And that was because I remember I was looking up because some of our friends were playing it, and I was like, well, this looks so much fun. Like, you would love it. And the thing about the Ouija board part that came up in the Steam review, the Steam description. Yeah. And you were just like, no, we probably should not. And then after we thought about it and talked about it for a little bit, then we're like, well, you know.
Because we talked about how I do. Should I mention the witchcraft thing?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So I do witchcraft, and so we
mentioned, we discussed it on your podcast, so.
It's a horror podcast. It kind of goes with the theme. But like, I told him, look, I guess like I do stuff like this. If anything happens, I feel like it would be okay to take care of that last house we could not take care of. We just had to leave. But if anything new were to happen here, things could possibly I could get that taken care of. So you know what? Why not? Let's give it a chance. By the way, did you notice that weird things had happened since you started playing Phasma? Like the thing with my dad. My dad's dead, by the way. But did you notice weird things did start happening after we started playing Phasma around here? I'm not specifically saying that it was Phasma, but it was Phasma.
It was around some crazy times that have not actually happened anymore.
Yeah, but Phasmaphobia has ended up becoming some of my favorite, like one of my favorite games ever, because I got so into it because it actually made me feel more brave with dealing with these sorts of things, because it put us in a certain experience that I was in growing up, but I had the tools and the backup to feel comfortable in that situation. And I found it, like, now it's just super fun to do because it has just become something that I love the teamwork of it. I love the tools you get to use. I love the lore of the ghosts, because the ghosts do have their own lore with them. And
yeah.
I just
and the 4 new ones, which that's part of this update that I'll explain when you get done with this, is the new ones even have a little bit more too.
Yeah, and I just think it's been amazing, especially with how interactive it is with the voice activated things, and that's just been my favorite part, because we all get squeamish and start screaming. I remember our friend Lotus, when he was first playing with us, and we had to beg him to stay quiet because he would start screaming.
Oh, that was the best. That was so much fun, just sitting out there just screaming with the ghosts. And then when it's hunting, you have to hide, you have to keep yourself quiet. And like, whenever we're playing with players that are new, like you're panicking, so you're trying to find out where everybody's at sometimes, like, and
you forget how to hide. Oh my God,
I remember that day.
Do you remember when because my brother played with us, he actually he crouched down right there where he was standing.
And you had done that at first too. I remember, like, we went into one of the rooms, and I continued to the back. You didn't follow me. You just went around the corner and stopped.
Yeah,
and
but
then
he did. But the ghost didn't get me that time. He got me the other times I actually learned to hide. But that one time that I just crouched down, he just walked by me, and that was weird. But yeah, the new Phasma update is something I'm so excited for. If you want to go more into detail about that, because I just wanted to give a little bit of background into what exactly Phasma was, so that people who've never played it, maybe they want to play it, you know, after hearing all of the cool things that it has. Because I love the fact that you have a van full of ghost hunting equipment, and you have tasks that you have to do to lure the ghost out. Like, if you say bad words or that you're scared, the ghost will hear you, and it makes it want to come out more.
The pig just ran up and is like looking at the screen. I'm trying to stifle a laugh right now from just that. And it's gone. So anybody that's watching, I hope you enjoyed that one. But yes, I'm glad that you started to open up with the game and enjoy it, because it's so much fun playing it with you.
Aw, thank you. Why is it fun?
Oh, because you've improved in it so much, where, like, you know, the first, how long was it where we were just, you were kind of watching the cameras from inside the van?
Yeah, well, because I was really, really scared, and because I have actual trauma with ghosts. Like, can you blame me?
No, I absolutely cannot. I cannot blame you at all, and I understand that. And it was something that we could use. We could use that in certain ways to help us as well, because of you always being able to watch the cameras where it's at.
Yeah, I remember a few times. I was actually able to catch orbs before some of our friends would notice that they were there.
Oh yeah, definitely. 'Cause
And also,
you knew where to look at.
yeah, but also you are a daredevil. But we'll get to that after we talk about a little bit of the news from the new stuff. But I want to talk about how you are definitely a daredevil in Phasma.
Just because I'm a thrill seeker when it comes to it, honestly. Like, I want the scare. I want to do whatever I can to perfect a run. So that's what happens with me. But back to the Phasma, right? Back to the Phasma update. They basically have revamped a lot of the items, and it is let's see, what's the word? They've mixed a couple of the items together that didn't really have very many uses in the old version of the game. They've given us a new one. They've given us 2 new ghosts, so you needed to have a new type of evidence. They've shuffled around all of the evidence types for all the different ghosts, so now if you knew exactly, like if I told you what's a revenant and you could tell me the 3 evidence types to get it, now you can't do that anymore, because it is not the same thing anymore.
And I heard that was like when we were talking to one of our friends, he was telling us that he was in a group with people that have been playing with him for so long that they were like that already.
Yeah, some of the people that Charlie played with, like, they could just like step inside the house at the very beginning and just go like, I know what ghost is this, sort of thing. So
just like runs the finger across the floor and licks it and like, yep, this is a poltergeist.
So now they shuffle it around. So some of the big YouTubers that used to basically memorize a lot of stuff, they're having issues with that, and it's so much fun and they're loving it. So definitely the new ways that they have, because they made it so you can actually sprint now. So you actually have a fast run for a couple seconds to get you out of things. Your flashlight used to flicker all the time whenever a hunt was happening, so you knew the ghost was going to kill you or not. Now that only happens if you're near the ghost, so that's an extra little difficulty tab, and there's a whole bunch of others. I don't have the
full list.
I don't have the patch list, but that's it.
I was
made
having
it
a panic attack before and getting like I was not knowing what to do in that moment. So now even more so, I'm just gonna be stuck there. Be like, all right, it's my time to go.
Yeah. So like, what I definitely want to do is sometime soon is stream that.
Yes, and we were actually gonna stream today, but we had so much to do.
Yeah, we'll try and get it streamed. We'll try and do it. See if we can do it next weekend. Maybe we can get a couple of other people into it that haven't played it all that much as well, and then throw them straight into this new one.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also, on top of that, we have been, because Ryan is working nights now, so we might be streaming from like in the middle of the afternoon once in a while, so be sure to check that out on Esther and Demetriel on our Twitch channel.
Yeah, we'll try and re-go through our schedule for streaming. We'll still, when I'm at work, Nancy can still try and, she was going to try and stream a couple of games here or there,
Oh, yeah.
so we might be able to get a couple of days a week for that, and then during the weekend, we'll definitely be able to go harder into it.
Yes.
We were going to be doing some videos for Final Fantasy, actually, so if you are new to Final Fantasy 14, or even if you're not new to it and you just want to come hang out, maybe even, you know, give back, maybe you can help us with some things, if maybe I don't know something or anything like that. But we're going to try and do some like House of the Dead runs or dungeon runs, kind of level up some other characters, because I've got 2 level 60s right now. Nancy finally, she was able to make it up to 50, so we're able to do a lot of the, I forgot where my clap was. There it is, my clap. And then the pig's taking up the screen again. Good job, Piggy.
It's his show now.
Yeah, like you said earlier, going to become a mascot.
Yes.
But what was I saying? But yeah, like our morning streams would possibly be stuff with Final Fantasy. If we're able to get back into Monster Hunter World, I did talk about doing that with Travis the other day. He was like, yeah, we should definitely do that again.
I kind of miss it. Like, there was a while where it just became so repetitive because for the long time, that's the only game we played. And I was like, all right, I love this game, but my goodness. Ooh, we can do room tours because I bought like a whole set and my whole room is pastel. I love it so much.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. And then also there is the way that you can make Final Fantasy look, because look at everything around us here.
Yeah, which we, oh my gosh, all the money we spent on this room, not knowing you could get a majority of it for cheap.
I'm gonna move the camera around a little bit. See, this is everything. I try and do it slowly so it.
When did we get the fruit crates?
You just saw those?
Or the vegetable crates? Yes, I didn't see them when I walked in. I told you, I don't even see that side.
Those are actually from JoJo.
Aw, I love JoJo. JoJo's the best.
So if she's able to listen to this, thank you, JoJo. Thank you
Yeah,
for
we have your
our.
little step stool.
There's a chair in the way, so I can't show it on the video. So, anyways.
She's a Lalafell. That's the little itty bitty tiny characters in the game. For those of you who don't know or play Final Fantasy, Lalafells are like kindergarten size people.
Creatures.
I was like creatures. She's basically a terrifying, you know. Can you imagine her biting your ankles? I'm sorry, but so there's this thing called a Lalafell step stool that you can get to put in your apartments or houses, and we bought her one so she could stand on it with us.
I love it.
Yeah, she's the best.
So yeah, that basically ends up the Phasmaphobia update.
Yeah, we barely even. Oh yeah, and we were going to talk about how Ryan over here is a daredevil, and how all of us are just basically holding and clenching our butts when he's in there, because there's 2 things about Phasma, where there's like the objectives, and then there's the actual evidence that you need to know what ghost it is. You don't need to finish objectives; it's just good if you do. And Ryan here loves going to get the rest of the objectives done, even though we have everything else done. Even if the hunt, because like there's a part of the game where the ghost goes hunting and he will go killing people, and the more you're in there when your sanity goes low, the more often he will go hunting. And none of us want to go in there at that point. There's a certain point where all of us are like, no, we have all the evidence, we know what it is, we don't want to risk it. And Ryan's like, I'll do it.
Yeah, because I really, that's the thing, is I really try to keep the game fun, challenging, and interesting for me. Yeah, fun. yeah, fun. It is fun for me though doing that. It's, I like, that's the thing that I like about scary games and stuff like that, is I kind of like that terror feeling, so.
Yeah, and it's very obvious, because I remember that time you went in there, and I believe it was Tyler and I were playing with you. And when Tyler and I were playing with you, You went in there when we had all the evidence already and we had almost all the objectives, but you wanted that one objective and the ghost would not stop hunting and you were barely slipping by.
Oh, okay, I do
And
remember
then it
that because
finally
it was like every 10 to 15 seconds of me being inside the house, it started
Yeah.
hunting me.
Oh my gosh. And it finally got you and we were like, no, we're leaving. I'm sorry. That's it. We're going.
Yeah, because like there was the
We're
thing, because
done.
we weren't on the highest difficulty, so you
Yeah.
guys could still take a picture of me for insurance, and
Yeah.
neither of you guys even wanted to do that. You're like, no. Like
No.
by the time I died, before I could even ask, it's like, make sure you go in there, you know, take a picture of me and everything like that. Like Tyler and Nancy both, like you just heard them both just be like, leaving? Yep. Then you hear the truck start and then they're gone.
I'm sorry, but that's not worth it to me. With the amount of like times that ghost hunted in that short amount of time, I was like, no, I'm out. And I knew Tyler wasn't gonna go in there because he was already freaking out, and he was newer than me. He wouldn't have known even where to go. And at least we're not gonna have a situation like with David.
Oh yeah, with you messing with him with the door there for a little bit, and then
No, I meant like when he was supposed to take a picture of your body, and he was like
oh,
right there.
it took a picture of the hallway, the staircase.
It wasn't even near his body. He just turned around, took a picture of just whatever was in front of him, and left. And we were like, really?
I'm still remembering the time where he didn't know that the person, if there's a person outside the front door, because the front door shuts and locks.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm watching the pig also right then. It wanted to run up to us again.
Aw.
That thing is so cute.
I'm so glad I picked it up.
But yeah, me too. But it was funny because he didn't realize that when the door shuts and locks during a hunt, there's no way to open up that door. Like even if there's someone outside of it, because Charlie was outside of it and he's screaming at Charlie to open up the damn door. And as that's going on, like I'm hiding, and I think you were in the truck, or
Mhm.
were you inside also when that happened? No, wait. Because the door got yanked out of your hand because you were just kind of like, you know, opening it and closing
Messing
it.
with David because David, I was on the outside of the door. David was in between the house and the porch, and Charlie was in front of him, or you were in front of him. And so David didn't know that I was opening and closing the door very slightly, and he was like, guys, does the door move? And you're like, yeah, it does that sometimes. And so like that gave me my out to like be able to keep doing it. And I did close it on him a little bit, and then he opened it, he's like, oh no, it's closing. And I joked with him, I was like, no, it was me, I'm sorry, I was just messing with you. And then it actually shut. And
I
then that was
can't
when the
remember
hunt started.
I can't remember if you were inside or outside the house at that point.
No, I was outside. I got locked out, David got locked in, and I was laughing.
Okay, yeah, because Charlie was right outside the door as well, because he's
Yeah.
screaming at Charlie to open up the door, and so how the ghost will hunt is if you're talking, it will cause the ghost to search for you.
Mhm.
So David's standing at the doorway, in plain view, screaming at the door at the top of his lungs. I'm hiding. The ghost went straight for him. It took him out fast.
But we were telling him, we were saying, David, you have to shut up. It's gonna find you. And he's like, no. And he was like, he wanted a fight. So the ghost found him.
That was funny.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, there's going to be more stories of that as
Oh
we
God,
go on
so
further.
many.
We'll try and structure up to some certain
Yeah.
certain experiences and certain stories so we can keep going with it, because that some of those definitely need to be told.
For sure.
And then you did talk about Pokemon Unite. Sorry, I'm yawning.
Oh, it's okay. Do you want some of my monster?
No, I can't drink that. That's okay. But is there anything with... Oh, because you have a review going on. So do you want to discuss, like, the reviews and stuff that we're going to be having put up on the
Sure.
website?
I don't have a review up for Pokemon Unite yet, even though it's going to be a mostly rave review. But I do have an article I'm working on for
Oh, yeah,
people who may
that's
need a
fine, man.
guide.
Yeah,
No, it's fine.
the article for it.
Because, so here's the thing. I've been playing for about a real week's worth. Like, I started playing it when it first came out just a little bit, but like I said earlier, it wasn't something that I was like super into, so I kind of just like was on and off, kind of But I've been seriously playing it for about a week now, and it's gotten to the point where, okay, Ryan, what are my usual scores in this game with my group of players, you know, with my teammates during
When it comes to like
what's it called?
like scored points and stuff like
Yeah.
that, we've had a lot of moments where you've had more than your team combined
Yeah.
because a
And
lot of bad things start happening in the games to everybody, it seems, and a lot of new
sometimes
players
more
with
than
it.
the other team.
Yes, and where there's because it is a free-to-play game, it's a Pokemon game, it's on the Switch. Switch players don't really, they're not up on MOBAs, you know, like they might not know what League of Legends is. I know there's another one that's like League of Legends that's on Switch, because Sean was playing it, but yeah, so like when it comes to MOBAs in general, there's certain ways of being able to play it that are just beneficial. So we wanted to have Nancy started working on an article for helping people because, you know, we are the Helpful Hunters Guild, so we want to do that. So we're going to try and put she's got an article that's going to be going up on the website as soon as we're done with it. We're going to try and make a video of that as well to throw up.
Yeah, well, because like Brian was saying, my points have been either more than all of my teammates combined, or they've been more than the other team. And that's usually when I have a good team with me. And I know that sounds silly, but that is when I have a good team with me, because when I don't have a good team, the other team has noticed after I've made a few points that I'm usually the one making the most points, and I've been completely ganged up on. Like, they will wait for me as a team and then destroy me. And so I will end up with like almost little to no points if I don't have people backing me up.
Yes.
So because this is a team-based game, this is so team-based that people don't understand this. You cannot solo this. And if you are a jungler, you are not trying to solo this. You are doing so much more than that. But because a lot of people are possibly very new gamers to this type of gaming, because it's on a console that's more targeted towards younger audiences, or it's targeted towards audiences that aren't like into League, possibly because they don't have access to it, you know.
Yeah.
What were those for? Ryan did quotation marks in our video.
So what?
I didn't know what those were for.
What, the quotation marks are?
Yeah.
For the MOBA players in general.
Oh, right. And so I'm really still new to what MOBAs are, but I get the general idea. And when I started playing this, I started noticing certain things that people were and were not doing that could help them earn more points, that could help them with their teammates, that could help them in general become a more, that would become like not a better player, but a better asset to their team.
Yeah.
Because we want people to learn. We don't want people to feel, because at the same time, if you keep losing and you keep getting such low scores and points, you're going to start to feel bad. You're going to start to feel like you're not helpful. You're going to start to feel like, you know, I don't care about this game. I don't care about, you know, playing anymore because I'm bad at it. Because that's how I've been before. And so it's not only about doing good to help your teammates, it's doing good so you can feel better about yourself, because it's not that hard of a game to learn. You just have to actually learn to play with others, because it's very team-based, and that's what I wanted to write about. I wanted to write all about how you have to work together, you have to know what you're doing within the game so that you know how to best work with like a defensive character and a squishy attacker character. Those are usually the best combinations, but sometimes people will take two defending characters and leave all the squishy people to their own devices, so they're dying super fast, they're not able to do anything. And then the defenders are kind of tanky, so they have like a lot of health, but then they're eventually getting mowed down because their attacks alone together are not enough to kill the enemy team that they're getting ganged up on either.
Or you get the fun little combo of a healer and a defender. Neither of them the kind of healers and defenders that can actually deal a nice amount of damage. Like if it was Wigglytuff and Snorlax, those two are gonna probably dominate that lane.
Yeah.
But Eldegoss has been, well, they've been nerfed to the point of their heal isn't really great to use anymore, so it's not as prevalent anymore, and so picking an Eldegoss is kind of it's not as helpful as it once was.
Yeah, and there's just certain things that would be more helpful. And people like, something I noticed today that I haven't put in my article is that it does suggest to you like, oh, you would an all-rounder would be a good asset to this team, but everyone's using tanky characters, you know. Or it's like a defender would be a good asset to this team. It'll suggest that to you in the loading screen, in the character picking screen, and people will be like all attackers.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that they would have made it so you could quickly choose which like to call out which lane you want to go to, and they would not have forced, because if you don't pick one, it's going to tell you whichever one the recommended is for you, but the problem is it'll give you an arrow at the beginning of the match to go to that lane. So if you don't know to change that and two people have already called that top lane, it's going to give you an arrow to go top lane anyways.
Yeah, and I go into detail about what the lanes mean because I like to talk to people as if they've never played the game before, because that's how I want people to talk to me. I have a certain way that I like to learn, and I've noticed that I learn better when people are showing me and explaining to me in great detail and not using all these big words or this game lingo that I may not be familiar with. Like I mentioned, I didn't really grow up in the gaming community around people who play games. I grew up just playing games with my brother, or, you know, I played games at the arcade, not arcade, it wasn't even an arcade, it was a dang fish food restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't grow up knowing these things, so Ryan, who grew up in this community, has also had to learn how to speak to someone like myself who is very new to all this still, and how to put it in a way that I can understand everything he's saying. And I think it's benefited us both, and I still want to continue speaking to people like that, because there are people who are very new to these games who will know nothing about it. And if I just start talking to them in all of this lingo that I've learned, but they don't know it, they're not going to have a good time. They're not going to know what I'm talking about, and they're going to lose interest in the article.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean, like, you know, we're talking down to you. It means we're talking to everyone who needs help. And that's honestly one of the reasons I wanted to do this.
Yes, and I love the fact that you do.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, so before we get too much further onto that then, because this... Wow, this is actually going to be a fairly long one. I thought it was going to be a short one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm glad. Yeah, we were worried about us not having enough stuff.
Yeah, just because we've been talking about personal, because like everything that we've been talking about has like a personal story, and nobody knows about any of these stories yet because it's a new podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you stay, and we will be continuing to do more and more as we go. We might even be able to try and get some other people on, you know, for certain specific one-off episodes, and try and make it so we can have some more, like, some people that were there at some of these experiences to be able to give a little bit more of the other side of it as well. I would love to do that.
Right.
Like, me and Tyler have a lot of Daisy stories to tell.
Yeah, you have a lot of stories with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
But also, if I could chime in, since we're still in the news section, I wanted to talk about that new game that we were told about, Koromon.
Oh, Koromon. Yes, go
Yes.
for it. Because
Okay,
I know
so-
nothing about it, and you've been reading it for a while, so have at
Yeah, I have the Steam page up.
it.
But what was it, yesterday that Travis told us about it?
Yeah, he mentioned something about it last night.
Right. Okay, so if you're a Pokemon player or a player of Temtem, and if you don't know what Temtem is, it's basically like Pokemon. There is this new game coming out next year called Koromon that is... It looks almost exactly like old school Pokemon, where it's all kind of pixelated, and the characters are like super tiny, and the areas look just like Pokemon. It's uncanny, but... Are you okay there? You're just like emoting like crazy.
I'm sure that you probably can't see it, but the pig was like right in front of my character's face.
You're right, I didn't see anything, so you're just pointing like crazy at
So
nothing.
I just kept pointing, trying to tell the pig to go, and then I started poking it, and then I told it to go again.
I saw that, I thought you were like accidentally spazzing out. I was like, oh god, is he okay?
My numbers have gone crazy.
Oh god, right. And the only thing, just basically off visuals, because I know it's gonna sound horrible, don't judge me. Even though I'm about to tell you how I judge video games.
Don't judge me. Do as I say, not as I do, right?
Exactly. I if if I think a game is ugly, I might not play it. If the art is
Oh,
bad.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Okay, so if I think a game is bad, I may not play it. I'm not saying this game is ugly, because the scenery is beautiful. The little vegetables and like the little creatures in this game, because like I said, it's like Pokemon, super cute. But the people, they have the biggest foreheads I have ever seen in a game. My goodness, they look like it's the size of their entire body, just the heads, and that is throwing me off a little bit. I'm excited, but
And
I'm
it's
just looking at how big those heads are. It's
and
all
it's not
it's all I can see.
and it's not like a scale thing where it's like you know the heads are just scaled up bigger like chibi or something like that. No, this is like Frankenstein forehead.
Yeah,
They're
they're
just
not like just a
tall.
big round head. They're just really long heads. It's a weird.
It's like a squared off cone head.
Yes, it's exactly what it looks like. So I feel a little
I
bad
think I
saying
just I think I just accidentally dated myself on that one.
well,
Talking
I
about
agree.
cone
So.
heads.
So like I think they were going for a chibi look, but I think it should have been a little bit more rounder on the sides and like bigger to make that, because now it just looks kind of like they have oblong eggs for heads. So that's my only thing with it so far, just visually.
That worked.
What?
The pig jumped up on the table. I pointed and it just ran off after I pointed. Like, yes, it's listening. Sorry.
If only our dogs would. But for the most part, looking at everything, we're about to play the demo, so we'll let you guys know what we think in the next podcast episode.
Yeah.
What we think of this.
My predictions right now is going to be as follows. I think I'm probably going to like it. It's probably going to be fun, but I do think I'm going to like Temtem more because I don't like playing games like that by myself.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not a big single player fan for the most part. There are some single player games that'll still they grip you. But like, why are you standing on my there you go. But yeah, like I wish that there was a Pokemon game that was as Pokemon games are, you know, but it had the gameplay feel of Temtem where, you know, like you and I can just go through the entire story of the game together because everything is a tag battle.
Yeah.
I feel like that those games have honestly lost their way when it comes to that. It's like, sure, you should be able to go through it. There should be two versions of every character, kind of, you know, like
right.
if I'm going through in a party with you or anybody else, like every fight, if I'm playing it by myself, it should just be a bunch of 1v1 fights.
Right.
But if I'm going through it, let's say with you, or if we're even going through it, maybe like a 3-person team.
Right.
Those people that have the let's just say Pokemon for lack of any other better term for it right now, but if those trainers have that one, like, because all of them have more than one Pokemon, you know, have it so like all 3 of you, the players, can pick 2 apiece, and then the other trainer has all 6 of his, but he throws out 3 of them at once, then 3 of them again. So you still go through all of 6, but it's interactive in the way that you can play it co-op.
Right.
Which is an idea that I'm going to try and make come true. I'm going to try. I'll see how hard that is.
Yeah. And I'm 100% supporting you, and I will be doing my best to learn Blender so I can help you.
Thank you. But yeah, Coromon does look a lot of fun, and by our next podcast episode, whenever the next one comes out, we'll definitely
we should have the demo done.
Yeah, we'll be able to play that. The next one on the list that we have is talking about Back for Blood.
I was actually about to mention it because I was thinking about it. It was in my head.
What, Back for Blood?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to? Go for it.
Oh, no.
Go for your side.
For it because I did Coromon. I'll do that. I'll do my part after you.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought you were going to try and tell me you were going to do the next game. It's like, you know nothing about the next game. So.
I know nothing about the next game. I just know I'm excited for it. It popped into my head of the next news-worthy thing that we wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Back for Blood.
Maybe it was that link.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, so Back for Blood is a game that is it's technically a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. It is actually done by the original Left 4 Dead developers from Left 4 Dead 1. So it was there's discussion and arguments where that can be made for Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2, but there is a general consensus that Left 4 Dead 1 was better. For me personally, I enjoyed Left 4 Dead 1 better, so this Back 4 Blood game, oh, it brings back all those original Left 4 Dead feelings and the tension. I feel like Left 4 Dead 2 started to get a little bit too goofy on parts of it. The melee wasn't great. If you're gonna make a game that is kind of like hinging on melee combat a lot, please make your melee combat fun. That was a problem that I had with what was that? Dead Island. That was a problem I had with Dead Island, but that's for a tangent of another day. But no, Back 4 Blood is so much fun. We've played the open beta for it. If anybody else has played the open beta, if you have any way of reaching out to us on any of the social medias or anything like that, please let us know what you thought of it, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Nancy's it's hard for her to play first person shooters sometimes because she gets motion sick a lot. But from what she was able to play of this, she had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed being able to play that. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I felt like for me personally, the shooting mechanics were a lot more smooth than other first-person shooters I played, because I've played a bunch of first-person shooters with you guys, and this one I felt the most comfortable with, and I actually was able to get a decent amount of shots on my very first game with you guys compared to what it's been like with other games we've played. And as somebody who is not usually a first-person, a shooter kind of player, I think that a lot of people who want to try a game like that or a genre like that should try this out, because it's a really good beginner feeling kind of game to get you into that kind of game type.
Yes, and don't think of it as too beginner friendly when it comes to the game itself, because man, that game is difficult though.
The game itself, yes. If I didn't have Ryan and our friends talking me through every little thing that was happening, I would not have survived. It's just the actual mechanics were so smooth. I was so thankful for it, and because it was so smooth, it made me more confident in actually playing with everyone, and it actually made my head not hurt as quickly as other first-person shooter games would.
Yes, and that's the good thing too, is that they have some stuff in place to help with things like that, which is great. If we're able to swing being able to pick that up when it comes out in mid-October, I definitely want to pick it up, play it for a while, get a real review up, so maybe we can get Game from the Heart started back up again and actually go through with the reviews.
Yep. And we actually have a review right now on our Helpful Hunter Guild website, where I played, what was the name of that game? Minute of Islands.
Minute of Islands.
Yeah, Minute of Islands was definitely, I think it cut you off when because I just heard islands.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But Minute of Islands is something I was streaming for our Twitch, and it is going to be going up on YouTube soonish. I just want to give it a little bit of time, because we weren't sure how we were going to want to upload it, and we haven't had really time until recently, because Ryan had just gotten switched from working days to nights right when I was going to get ready to upload it.
Yes.
And so I did do a review of that on the Helpful Hunters Guild website, and I am going to be doing reviews that are written out, and Ryan said he might do a few here and there. It really just depends, because we want to get our reviews out in both formats, where it's going to be written out or where you can find it in a video, because we want to try to include all sorts of people. I myself am hard of hearing, so I know how difficult it can be sometimes, and because I like reading sometimes more than I like listening to a video, because I will get distracted very easily listening to someone just drone on about a certain topic for too long, and it makes it very difficult. But if I'm reading something, I'm focusing so hard on the words, I actually learn better. So that's why we want to have multiple formats for everybody.
Yes, definitely. Same time also for that, I was just looking to see if our website goes up if anybody actually searches for Helpful Hunters Guild on Google, just in case they can't remember the whole Wix site. It was kind of funny because our Twitch does pop up because I was using the tag for it.
Nice.
your ARC streams, the Give Me All Your Dinosaur Poop and Aggressive
Oh my god,
Pokemans Prehistoric Edition, those came up.
I forgot I named it that.
So those ones do at least. So if you can't remember the whole Wix site or anything like that, if you do search for Helpful Hunters Guild, put it all as one word, you will get into our Twitch page, and then from there you can also get to the website, but we'll definitely have the website up in a lot of places.
Yeah, and we're going to be making social media accounts for that and this podcast as well. So we will be getting the word out there as much as we can for you guys.
Actually, they could probably even just find the Esterlin and Metriel Twitter,
Yeah.
because that one's still up. So you guys can get a hold of us on there if you want to send us any type of message or anything. So
Yep. And I will have everything like social stuff set up before this podcast episode gets uploaded anywhere. So that's what we're working on right now. We're trying to get it all together. This is the first episode, and I think I'm having a great time. I think this is going really well.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Ryan?
yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. So I guess that since we already started plugging, we can just go right into that right now.
Oh, you don't want to do personal stories like that section, or you want to just do that right now?
I actually did not have that wrote down.
Oh, really?
I
We
thought.
were going to talk about the Caprosuc crap. I don't know the name.
Oh, okay. Then yes, because
Crocodile.
I had forgotten to write that down. I had forgotten.
Oh, no,
Go
it's okay. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just because it's our first episode. We're still learning. We're still writing things down.
Yeah, and I had spaced on it because this has been going on for an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. It doesn't feel like it.
Oh, we're not even scratching like the tip of the iceberg for our stories and experiences and everything. That's hilarious.
So okay, well, since you did bring up that story though, do you want to go into
Yeah.
the general synopsis of what happened with that, and then we can
Okay.
head into the last part of this?
Sure. Okay, so as Ryan mentioned earlier, we are big ARC players. He has how many hours again?
Ooh. Okay, so I don't want to be wrong about this. Let me.
Yeah, because we actually have our Steam open so we can take a look at these things.
I am sitting at 1,338 hours on ARC.
Wow. I remember we threw a party for your 1000 in ARC.
Yeah.
We had party hats on all the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. Which reminds me also is if anybody plays ARC Survival Evolved, and if you, it's not much of a PvP server. So if you want to just have like if you're looking for, if you're getting bored of playing it single player, and a lot of the online servers, like the public servers, you know, they're not great. You know, people will section off too many things, and it'll make it unfun. If you want to have a fun way to play ARC Survival Evolved, that is a casual, just, you know, fun, non-hardcore sort of way, let us know. Hit us up. We can get you in on our server that we play on. I hosted it myself.
And we're all very respectful of each other's things. We are not allowed to go into anybody's places and take things without talking to the person, knowing the person, asking. If the person offers it, that's fine, but we don't, like, you know, we're all very helpful with each other as well. If somebody needs something, we all get together and we are all helping each other out with everything.
Yeah.
And for me, I have 534 hours.
Nice.
And it is currently my most played game. And I have 534 hours logged into ARC, and that's my most played game right now. I've not ever played a game for that many hours, ever. And it's because I became super addicted to it when Ryan first showed it to me. And if you don't know what ARC Survival Evolved is, for those of you who are not PC players or who are and have never tried it, it's basically a game where you wake up on an island of your choosing, and you are basically a person with nothing. You're in your underwear, and you have to go and clothe yourself. You have to go and make a habitat for yourself, and let's just say you want to do it pretty quickly because the things around you are all dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures, and when you get further in the game, they're more than that. And they want to make you not alive.
Yes.
It's a nice way to put it. And they will come at you. You can literally just spawn in, like your character could just stand up. If you spawn into the wrong area, as soon as you stand up, something's already it's grabbed you, or it's attacking you, or it's killing you. Like I remember the very first time I ever logged into Ark ever, I spawned on a part of the island where a Dilo was, and this little tiny dinosaur walked up to me and it spit in my face.
And that's usually people's very first experience with Ark, was it like they're starting, it's like, why am I naked? And it's like, look around and you hear the noise like, what is that? And then slap right in the face, is like, ah!
And it blinds you, like you cannot see almost anything. It turns the whole screen like a greenish color, and it makes it very difficult to do anything or to see anything, and it starts attacking you. And sometimes it has friends or other things are on the island, like, oh, that thing's getting eaten, free food, so they start attacking you, and then you die and you have to respawn again. And I've learned, as soon as you spawn, turn around as fast as you can, see what's near you, and start running.
Right.
And so that's something that Ark is really good about, is how random the attacks can be, how random the story is for you, especially because there is a story to Ark, but you can literally just play it as a game where you can do anything. Like you can go and just tame a bunch of dinosaurs. You can go and make a little farm where you farm berries and all other sorts of things. You can go and make a nursery where you just breed all sorts of dinosaurs and all different kinds, because they color mix and everything. There's so many things you can do in Ark that it's ridiculous how much this game has to offer. And I get bored of games relatively easily if they cannot capture my attention with like lots of stuff to do. And Ark has not done that for me. It's always been a game that I've gone back to. And you can even ride the dinosaurs into battle. You can ride the dinosaurs. You can go attack other dinosaurs while you're riding your dinosaurs. It's so much fun.
And if any of the older audience knows what Dino Riders, an old TV show series, was, just imagine that, because the guys that made this would have, if they did not know about this show beforehand, I would be so shocked and surprised, because everything feels like that. But it's a lot of fun. I love the game to death. There's so many people that complain about it that don't really understand it, which is fine, but it's just like, give it a shot, find some people that know something about it, and they can probably help you, have a good time with it, because you don't have to play it the way that everybody tells you need to. You don't. We used to play it where it was just like, okay, so, well, even for me, when I played it by myself before Nancy and I had met, I was basically just a solo nomad. I was just my own one character, I had a raptor that I had tamed, and that was it. I would make sure that I was light enough to be carried by the raptor to be able to outrun anything, and that was it. I was bouncing around different areas of the map, and this was one of the public servers, so it was like one of the official ones. And like people would come out, talk to them, trade with some people for certain things, and I'd be off on my way again. You can play it that way if you want, or you can play it like how some of these people make metropolises out of castles.
Yeah, I do love the whole part of the game that it's play at your own pace. I was trying not to mix those words up in my head. But playing at your own pace is definitely one of my favorite aspects, because you could play it like I do, which is like kind of slow. I just kind of go do my own thing and I just go with the flow. Or you can play it like Ryan and our friend Lotus does. Like, they grind so hard in this game. By the end of the day, they have an entire like building put together full of boxes, full of materials that they've gathered. So we could literally make anything and go and capture anything. And it's really fun to see them like do that, 'cause it's incredible the things you can do in this game. And leading into the story that we were talking about, you can even go into this huge body of water, because there's different areas, and there's an area that's the swamp area, and it's very, very dangerous. There's lots of giant scary creatures there, and it was one of my first times playing with Ryan, and he built a boat, and he warned me. He said, we're going to go to the swamp area, so you have to be very careful, because there are things there that can grab you. And I didn't understand really what that meant, because I had not gotten grabbed by anything yet. I had not been in danger, because Ryan was basically keeping me safe from, besides of course the little things that happen when you first spawn into the game.
Yeah.
I was relatively safe. And so Ryan put together this little raft. It did have an inside part, but me being me, I wanted to go stand on the outside part. to go look at everything too, because it was my first time at the swamp, right? Wasn't it?
Yes, yes, it was.
And so I'm standing out there looking around, having a grand old time. Ooh, scary snake. Ooh, big giant horse hippo thing. And so I'm just looking around having a grand old time. And I start saying something to Ryan. I don't even remember what it was. And all of a sudden,
You were mid-sentence. I can't remember what it was you were saying, but you were mid-sentence.
I was. And I was in first person view. I'm usually not in ARC. I'm in third person view because I get sick being in first person view, but I wanted to see everything from my character's perspective since I was just looking around me.
Well, that and in the swamp, there's a bunch of low-hanging trees, so if you're in third person view, it's hard to see.
That too. Exactly. Like I was in first person, so I could see what was in front of us.
Which we're gonna have to stream. We're gonna have to stream ARC also. We're just gonna have to.
Oh God, yes.
So
and
keep
like
an eye
Ryan
out.
mentioned that name earlier, the collecting dinosaur poop.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just standing around. I'm talking to Ryan mid sentence. All of a sudden, in first person, I see my entire screen shift, and I'm like, "Ah!" I just start screaming. I don't know what's happening. I turn my character's head, and I am in the jaws of a capro, and it's basically a giant crocodile. It had jumped up onto the boat, grabbed my character, and pulled me off the boat the other side and was swimming off with me. And so I started panicking. I didn't have any weapons on me, or I didn't know how to get my weapons out. And so I just turned around and started punching it. And I didn't even know how to punch. I was just clicking buttons, and I found one that was punching. So Ryan's like, "Oh my God, where are you? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm punching it." And he's like, "Keep punching it, Nancy."
Because I'm flying around overhead
Yeah.
on an Argentavis, which is a big bird, and I'm looking around for her to try and see if I can find her name anywhere, but I couldn't see it anywhere. So
Yeah.
the thing had jumped, grabbed her, and when it jumped away again, it springboarded itself pretty far out.
Yeah, and so he's like, "Keep punching it, hun, keep punching it." I'm punching and punching, and it let go. I was alive, very low health, but I was alive. I had gotten out. And I was like, "I lived, Ryan, I kicked its ass." And as soon as I'm saying that, another one, not the same one, another one jumped out of the water and grabbed me. And I'm just like, "I got captured again, you got me." And Ryan's like, "Are you serious?" And so I'm just being dragged away by another one of those, and I'm like, "I hate it here," and I died. Oh, it was so great.
And it actually wasn't the first, or that was the first, but I mean, like, that wasn't the last time that happened to you either, because a capro actually grabbed you on Crystal Isles as well.
Yeah, and didn't Baryonyx also do that?
The Baryonyx that one time, because it spins in the water and can stun you.
Yeah. And then there's that time with Tyler where we told him not to get too close to something, and he did. And it may or may not have grabbed him out of the sky, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah, that one will be. We'll try and have some themed episodes where it's like
Oh God, yeah.
certain stories from certain games, and then we'll kind of like discuss the game a little bit. Maybe if anybody that listens to this podcast, if you guys have any stories for any of these games too, please let us know. We would love to be able to have a conversation about those things, because it's great.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's basically my story for it's actually one of my favorite video game stories, because it was my very first time playing a game that was like that, because I'd never played a game like that before when we were playing that. And for something that crazy for me to happen in a new environment, I could not believe that, because like I grew up really, really poor, so any games we did get were not games that were that intense. They weren't games that had that much going on with them. So the fact that I was playing a game where something so random and scary and cool and crazy could happen was still so new to me. I had like an amazing time with that moment. It was just so immersive, and I never thought I could get like that into a game.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that you were able to. And that has set up for those things happening in every game now. Now you have big social stories in a lot of games now that we can definitely get into, like on some of these next episodes.
like, even though we've been playing for so long, we know how to be careful. Accidents still happen. I still forget how to use my parachute sometimes, and I hit E when we're in the sky, and that's like dismounting your bird. That means you will hop off in the
Yeah.
sky. Nothing stops you from doing that. Like, you know how certain games won't let you dismount something in the sky, it'll stop you? Not Ark. Not
Yeah,
Ark
Final
at
Fantasy.
all. Yeah. Yeah, not Ark at all. You hit like the dismount button when you're in there. Good luck, buddy. I hope you brought a parachute, and if you did, I hope you remember how to open it and that you put a button that's easy to get to, because you are gonna fall and you are gonna die if you're too high up. It does not care. And your bird, it doesn't just respawn back where you started. It will either stay where you died, and you have to figure out how to get it down from where it is, or something will come and kill it. It really, like, you never know what's going to happen, and it's not a hold your hand kind of game. It is not at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about it.
Honestly, that's what I love about it too. But it doesn't make it so hard that it feels impossible to play, because I've tamed a whole T-Rex by myself, and let me tell you, when I say, like, this game has dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures, they're humongous. These things are giants compared to you.
And
if-
actually, that leads into something.
Yeah.
Remind me when you get done about
Sure.
that I had something to say for Ark.
All right, so something else that I love about Ark is it's not extremely difficult to get into, especially if, like, you play by yourself. But this is also, you please have to remember, like, we're playing on a private server, so Ryan has, like, everything ramped up so that we're not waiting for hours on end for a creature to tame. Because if you play the game regularly, how many hours would it take, Ryan?
It depends, but what I did for it was I made it so the general, like, with most private servers and what people are making on their own, they've all agreed upon, like, having 2.5 to 3 times taming speed effectiveness to basically make it so you're not waiting hours and hours and hours to tame something.
I remember you told me the hours that you had to spend for your raptor, or I think that was it.
It took, when I first started playing the game, it was about 20 to 30 minutes or it was like 15 to 20 minutes for a Dilo, 45 minutes to an hour for a raptor. Sometimes it was a couple hours for a T-Rex. I remember that I was taming a trike for an hour and a half.
Jesus. And that's like real life hours.
Yes.
That's not like in-game time. And because we're adults, we have things that we need to do, take care of the house, go to work, etc. We can't be doing that. We can't be sitting for hours on one dinosaur just babysitting it, because we gotta get up, we gotta do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I do like that it gives you that option if you are in a private server. And so when I went off on my own because Ryan was at work, and usually up until this point Ryan was going with me everywhere. I literally would not leave his side because I was so scared of everything, because anything could pop out at you from anywhere. I was afraid after the whole Capro thing. And so one day he went to work and I really wanted to play Ark. I was craving, and I had dreamt about it. I sometimes, when I get really into video games, I will dream about it the night before, and I'm like, oh god, I need to play more, and I will wake up super early. And I was like, you know what? Ryan's at work. I want to play this game. I'm gonna go do it. And it turns out, if you're just careful and you're not a dummy, you can pretty much make it if you do the right things. You take care of yourself. You wear the right clothing in certain environments, and you look around. You pay attention to the footsteps. I don't usually have the sound on in video games, but you would definitely need it in Ark.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so this one day when Ryan went to work, I'd been playing for a little while already by that point, just not alone. And I wanted a T-Rex so bad, and it was on the list of things to do because we had so many things we had to do, but I wanted it so bad. And we had already tamed a Rex previously in a playthrough we had done. And so I was like, I kind of know the basics. I know what I need to go ahead and get one, and I know how to do it. So I'm going to go and see if my idea works. So what I did was I found a mountain, because, like I said, these creatures are humongous. They're like 5 or 6 times your size, some of them. Some of them are smaller than you, but they go up to your knee. And the T-Rex is like 4 or 5 times your size. So I found a mountain top. that was kind of hard to climb up. And there's this Rex I'd seen that was so pretty. It was a big, giant, like onyx colored Rex. And so I grabbed my, what was it? What's that bow gun type thing?
Oh, the crossbow?
The crossbow. So I had a crossbow with, I had like, I think 100 or 200 tranquilizing arrows, which basically you have to make all these yourself. You have to like craft all of these items. And I had just finished crafting a bunch of trank arrows, which was difficult because I had to go find all of the berries to make them and everything. And it was like my first time doing something like this on my own. I was pumped.
Oh yeah, and I'm happy that that entire thing went the way that it did too.
Thank you. And so I asked Ryan, I was like, hey, I don't have the stuff to make a boat for myself yet. Do you mind if I take your taming boat? And I had not even really done it that much. He'd only like had me steer a few times with him around, and he was like, he had so much confidence in me. He was like, yeah, go for it, have fun. And I was so scared. So I took the taming boat, and basically Ryan built this boat that has like walls and a ramp so that we can walk a creature in there when we're done taming it, or when we want to tame it if it's a small enough creature and it won't break the boat. And it can sit in there while you're driving wherever you're going in the water. And so I lured this Rex by hitting it kind of up close. The first time it punted me. And luckily I had been putting a lot in health because you have to put points in different stats for yourself. And I didn't know what to put it in, so I just been putting a bunch in my health. And so he punted me. I lived, but he punted me in the right direction because it was right towards that cliff. I ran up the cliff and it was following me. Luckily, I still had aggro on it. Nothing had gotten its attention because sometimes another dinosaur can get its attention and it'll go off and do something else. And so I had it follow me. It didn't follow me up the right way. It got stuck on the side of the mountain, so it just tried to go up straight up the mountain, which it couldn't do. And so from right on top of the mountain, I was just shooting at it with my trank arrows. And as I was shooting at it, it got sleepy and it passed out right there. And then all I had to do was go gather meat from all the other creatures that were nearby. I fed it for a while, and by the time I knew it, I had tamed a T-Rex all by myself, walked it to the boat, took some pictures, and Ryan hadn't heard from me in a little bit since I asked him if I could borrow his boat, basically. And the next thing he heard from me was me sending him a picture of me next to a ginormous T-Rex.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of it. So I definitely love this game, and I love that it's got a learning curve that's easy enough for pretty much anybody to learn if you pay enough attention to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's my part of that, because I do know you said you wanted me to remind you of something that had to do with that, or in general.
Oh, just that since Arc Genesis 2 just came out recently, and
Right.
that's the last DLC before Arc 2. What I think what I can probably do is, at least like just to do a little bit of content, we can try and do like a general how-to when it comes to, like, you know, if people are new to playing the game, or even something that might be able to work for Arc 2, or if anybody picks up this wanting to play it for a bit, or if they're possibly hearing us talk about it like, oh, maybe we'll try this. I'll try and get some videos up on our YouTube channel for the Helpful Hunters Guild, at least, to show just a general how-to for things.
Yeah, because it's definitely a game that you want to use that information. We didn't just go into Arc knowing everything or just trying everything out of like the blue, because you will not make it. You definitely need to look for some sort of information to get you through basically any part of the game.
And with that, we're going to get into the ending of this podcast episode. It went on longer than we were thinking. We didn't know if that we would be able to do something like this, but I'm glad that we were able to get it to be an hour and a half so far.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I said previously about it being a short episode, it was not.
You're a liar, pants on fire.
Yes. So now, for the ending of it, I do want to go into explaining where you can find us at, the other things that we're doing, the other things that we have. So then you can kind of find us with all the different things that we're doing and possibly get filtered back over here, or maybe you'll find something on the other ones that you like. Okay, so the This is the Quick Save Tavern, so this is our audio podcast and video podcast that will be on YouTube. Are we going to have that on? Are we going to have this on its own thing, or are we going to have it on Estrel and Metriel as well? What do you think?
It's up to you. You did mention that it would be a segment on Astral and Metro, but if you want to make it its own thing, you can let me know right now.
Well, we could probably just keep it there then.
All right.
If for some reason it's like the algorithm decides that it wants to start messing with us, then we can switch it off.
Yeah, but
so
for now it'll be on Astral and Metro.
So everybody will be able to find the video versions of this podcast on Estraloon and Metriel on YouTube. I was getting ready to say YouTube and then Estraloon at the same time. It all just went crazy.
Extra YouTube.
Yeah, Estralutube.
Oh God, no.
We stream on Twitch, and that is also Estraloon and Metriel. If you can make it to one of them, chances are you can make it to the rest of them because a lot of them are the same and they all link to each other.
I try to link everything as much as I can because I take care of all of the that side of stuff.
And we do have a website that is pixeldragons.wixsite/helpfulhuntersguild, and that will be the website you can go to. We have a couple game reviews up there. Nancy's working on another one, I hear.
Yes, I am working on one right now.
There is the Pokemon Unite article, so if you like Pokemon Unite or you're looking at it and wanting to learn a little bit more about it, you can definitely check that out.
A lot of very helpful information for new players and people who've been playing for a little bit that may need some help.
And on that website itself will be kind of a main hub to be able to get to any of our other stuff. So if you just want to have the website bookmarked, check it out every once in a while, keep coming back to it, help us out with that. It will send you to anywhere else you may feel like you need to go. Also, the Helpful Hunters Guild is a free company on Final Fantasy XIV. It is the characters that we are using right now. Right now we're using an apartment for this room because I've spent the last couple of days trying to get a house for us, and over the course of sitting and clicking on something for 8 to 10 hours, I don't want to do that again for a little while. But we are on the Crystal data server, or the data center, on the server Coeurl. And you can search for Ryn, R-Y-N, or Estraloon, which is E-S-T-R-I-L-U-N-E. The last names on both of those is Darkheart, exactly how you think it would be spelled. We will provide links to our Final Fantasy XIV character profiles so you can find them, find out, how to maybe add us as a friend, how to send us a message. You can do any of that kind of stuff from the Final Fantasy XIV. I think it's the Mog Station website. But yeah, you can do that. We will have those things if you're on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. If you visit our website, it'll be on there somewhere. And for the audio podcast, it should be in the show notes if the things that we have allow it to be.
Yeah.
And then Nancy has one more thing that she can plug.
Yeah. I run a horror podcast called Below the Forest Floor with Ryan. We recently hit our 1-year anniversary.
Yay.
I was like hoping you'd say yay, or that would be a super awkward pause.
Yay. Pause
you,
for
Ryan.
dramatic. I'm gonna put into the show notes like pause for dramatic effect.
Pause. But yeah, I run a horror podcast called Below the Forest Floor. What are you doing? I just see Ryan get up and dance in the game. And the first few episodes, when you do go and check it out, is just me in it because Ryan wasn't sure if he's going to be able to join, but now Ryan has become a regular on the podcast, and we're super happy to have him. And I talk about all things horror, from cryptids to personal horror stories and scary stories, because I've been through a lot. I've seen so many things. I've been through so many things. People are like, well, I've never seen anything. I was like, I'm so happy for you. I wish I were you. And I told that to one of Ryan's friends a little bit ago.
Yeah, I remember that. No, it was Tyler we were talking to.
Yeah. Because he was like, I never really experienced. I was like, good. You don't want to. It's not fun. People don't believe you. It is scary. But it did make for content. And so I have, like almost 30 episodes up now, and we even talk about not just cryptids and urban legends on personal scary stories, but we also talk about creepypastas and stuff like SCPs, which one of our recent videos or audios is about that.
Yep. And you also did one on Siren Head.
Yes, I did. That is my most listened to right now. So if you guys like anything horror, or if you like scary stories, or if you like just being creeped out in general, you can check out Below the Forest Floor on most major streaming platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and more.
So, really quickly, something just came to my attention. I got a notification on YouTube.
Okay.
Let me search for something really quickly because we might have a quick little I don't even know how the heck it's supposed to be spelled.
Ryan forgets to spell.
Yeah.
Is that what we're gonna name the podcast episode? Episode 1 of Quick Save Tavern. Ryan forgets to spell. It's like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like where it says the gang does this.
Oh yes, yes. Is the wish list on? There it is. I need to find something really quickly because apparently Forsworn is either in early access right now or something like that. Do you remember the Egyptian like Tomb Raider version of Forewarned, that's it. Why do I keep wanting to say Forsworn?
Forsworn.
Forsworn is coming out in 3 days for early access. It runs in both standard and VR modes. It's because I've seen a couple of YouTubers that play Phasmo. They're now playing this.
So this is like Phasmaphobia, but like in Egypt?
And someone, I believe, yeah, if you die to the monster, you have a chance of either coming back to help or coming back to harm.
I remember you telling me about that game now. Oh gosh, that one, I saw the gameplay for that and I almost cried. Especially when you asked me if I wanted to play that with you. Ugh. I'm gonna, but I'm not gonna like it.
After this, I'm definitely gonna check out one of those videos and seeing how it is for like how it's seeming right now, because if it's that could be something that we could stream. And that was just like an impromptu toss this in because like I just saw that.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
Thank you everybody for joining us on our very first foray into this new space that we're trying to go to.
Yeah, we've been gamers for so long, and we just really wanted to get into this side of things. I felt like it was time.
Because nothing that we had done previously was enough for us to actually just sit and talk about anything when it comes to video games. So this was definitely something we were like trying to get made for so long. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope that it was coherent and fun and just nice to sit and listen to. We would like to have conversations with anybody, so if you find us, we're on Final Fantasy 14 mostly right now, so if you're playing that, if you want some help, just want some, some friends, give us a message. You can always switch to a different server just temporarily to play with other people. That is completely fine. What you can also try and do is in November, when the Endwalker expansion comes out, you can actually visit other data centers. So if you're like, let's just say you're in the UK, you can actually visit the North American data centers. So it works the same way, where you can just temporarily visit another location for a while. So that'll be a lot of fun, and then that means that we'd be able to play with any of you guys.
Yay!
So
Yay!
So
sorry, I said yay twice because the second time in my character clap.
Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you in the next one, and have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.